Hello, my name is Dakota Woody. I'm a virtual career coach for the state of Colorado with the Department of Labor and Employment. Today, we're going to discuss some tips about before an interview. Well begun is half done. Preparation can be the key to greatly increase your chances of success. So take these tips into consideration before your next interview. First, research the company. Educating yourself on the company you're interviewing for serves two important purposes. First, it helps ensure that the company's mission and culture align with your own interests, career goals, and values. Second, the ability is to authentically incorporate this knowledge into an interview shows that you are thoughtful, well prepared, and truly interested in becoming a member of their team. Prepare yourself by reading the website thoroughly, following their social media feeds, checking any interesting or relevant results on Google, searching reviews on Glassdoor, and reviewing the LinkedIn profiles of anyone participating in the interview. Take notes that will help you formulate questions to demonstrate a genuine interest in the company and what they do. Second, reread the job description. Take the time to read the job description again carefully prior to your interview. Make a list of skills, experiences, and qualifications you have that prove that you're a viable candidate, using a specific example or quantifiable metrics as often as possible. Also, pay close attention to the specific adjectives used when they're described the type of candidate they're seeking in the job listing. Look for opportunities to include those words or synonyms into your interview answers or relate anecdotes that exhibit those qualities when you're asked behavioral questions. Next, prepare the typical job interview questions. The number one way to learn how to ace an interview is to come prepared with strong answers to interview questions. While you won't know exactly what will be asked, you can increase your odds of doing well by researching common job interview questions and coming up with 50 to 100 word answers. Be prepared to answer questions like, why should we hire you? What's your biggest weakness? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? If I call your current or previous employer, what would he or she say about you? Tell me about a challenge you overcame. Next, get your backstory right. Despite being the most knowledgeable party about your own work history, there's something about being asked to summarize your experience at the beginning of a call that can cause your thoughts to come to a screeching halt. Take some time before the interview to write down a short outline that sums up your professional life, making sure to highlight any positions or experiences that seem particularly relevant to the job. When practice saying it out loud in a way that feels friendly, natural, and confident. It's important that you don't sound like you're reading or reciting from a list. Next, prepare smart questions in advance. Remember how you reviewed the job description and researched the company? That particular prep work is about to help prove that you're interested in this specific position for this exact company, not just someone who stumbled in on a job random hunt. At some point during the interview, you'll most likely be invited to ask your own questions, and this is an opportunity that you shouldn't pass up. Demonstrate that you're eager to learn, interested in the position and the company, and have a general understanding of what they need and what they do through a series of thoughtful questions. Next, is your interview remote? Check your equipment and find a quiet place. Phone or video interviews often precede in-person interviews as of late. Although everyone is familiar with the frustrations of technical difficulties, a bad connection, dim lighting, or a noisy background can distract from the great impression you're hoping to make. Ace an interview even from a distance, with the following remote interview tips. Find a clean, uncluttered background. Either set up a ring light or face a natural source of light. Make sure your webcam is at eye level. Try to make sure you're in a quiet space. If it's a phone interview, make sure you're in a spot with good reception. Do a practice run with a friend via video to make sure everything goes as planned. Practice your job interview. Confidence is key to crushing an interview. It may feel silly at first, but the best way to work on your interview skills is by rehearsing. Ask a friend or family member to play the role of the interviewer or hiring manager and set up a video call or meeting. Introduce yourself, summarize your work history, answer the questions they ask, and practice asking your own questions. Work on not only what you say, but also how you say it. Do you sound nervous? What message is your body language conveying? Are you talking too fast or rambling? Make sure that your faux interviewer understands that critical feedback is essential to your success. Ask them open-ended questions about what went well and how you could improve. Now, the day of the interview, not quite to the interview, but the day of. Be on time. There are a few aspects of the interview process that you have almost complete control over, and one of those is punctuality. Err on the side of being way too early, especially if it's an in-person interview and traffic could become a factor, and you just never know when an accident or a detail could become an obstacle. If it's a remote interview, be fully dressed and set up to test your equipment well before the interview starts. Bring resumes, reference letters, and a notepad. Don't show up to your interview empty-handed. Even if you submitted your resume and reference letters via email, bring printed copies to your in-person interview. Your interviewer may not have those items with them. They could have been misplaced in an overload inbox, or you just may want to refer that information yourself. Also, bring a notepad and pen. It can help you write down any questions that may pop up during the interview and allows you to take notes of the interview. Next, dress well. Looking good contributes to feeling confident. Make a positive impression while boosting your self-confidence in clothes that are clean, fit well, and are appropriate for the interview setting. Get honest opinions from friends and family members if you're unsure about what to wear, and try on your clothes and accessories the night before to eliminate any possibility of last-minute wardrobe malfunctions. Now, lastly, relax. You came prepared. You've done your research, you've practiced, you've come prepared, you're early and well-dressed, and chances are you're nervous, and that's completely normal. Take advantage of your early arrival and draw your shoulders back and down, unclench your jaw, and take several deep breaths. Consider the fact that feeling nervous and being excited shares a lot of the same physiological symptoms. Try to reframe anxiety as optimistic anticipation. Spend a few quiet moments reviewing any notes you've taken. Remind yourself you've come prepared the best you can, and assume on the air of confidence. After all, you're as ready as you'll ever be. And to close us out, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. This is one of my favorite quotes from Seneca, a Stoic philosopher from ancient Rome. Interviews are an exciting opportunity, and if coupled with some preparation, the results can be one of great success.
Hi, I'm Marjorie, and I'm a virtual career coach. If you're in the job market recently, chances are that you have participated in a virtual interview, or you might have one coming up. If so, there are a few ways to ensure that you are ready to ace your next video interview. The key for virtual interviews is to professionally prepare and practice, or practice and prepare professionally. Treat your virtual interview just like you would an in-person one. Be professional in your appearance and in your technical setup. Your appearance matters, so dress and groom as if you were meeting in person for the first time. And yes, that includes tops and bottoms. Then take a moment to check your invitation details and make sure that you have the correct time, date, and platform and all of that. And typically, within the email, the invitation email, are step-by-step directions for logging on to the platform, be it Google Meet or Zoom or Teams, that regardless of what device you're using, the instructions are usually embedded in that email. So take a moment, read it through, make sure you understand it. Then I would go ahead and prepare and test your technical setup. Prior to the interview, run a technical check with the equipment that you plan on using that day. Get familiar with the interview platform in advance by downloading any software, creating an account, and logging in. Some platforms require you to create an account, log in, and some do not. So just make sure you know the difference and that you've done that beforehand. Check your internet connection while you're using the platform, and just to see how the video lags or doesn't lag. Double check your camera to make sure it renders, microphone, test your speakers, and to work out any technical glitches way before the interview. And if you need to supplement with other hardware, then you can. People have found that a light source from behind the camera looks best, whether it's a natural light from a window or an artificial light. And placing the camera at eye level or slightly above eye level gives you the best perspective, or gives the interviewer the best perspective of you. Be sure, and this is really important, to pay attention to your background for any distraction, and make sure it's a distraction-free environment. No clutter or distracting backgrounds. Virtual backgrounds are good for virtual interviews. They're great, but keep them professional. And if you are questioning, then default to a setting similar to the setting that you may have attended should you have attended the interview in person. Very professional. Finally, I would say practice, 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 just like you would a regular interview. But for virtual, also practice logging in and checking the logistics with the test run. That's really important. Maintain eye contact by looking at the camera. When you're practicing, try to maintain eye contact by looking at the camera to connect with your interviewer. Some have found it helpful to minimize your self-view, your video self-view, and then that eliminates distractions and make the connection more authentic. And it's not really natural to look at the camera when you're interviewing, and should try to make that connection. So practicing this and occasionally looking at the camera, at the very least, helps to make that authenticity come through. So keep in mind that if something should go wrong on the day of, you may have already familiarized yourself with some technical glitches and how to troubleshoot them very quickly. So go ahead and do that and keep going. And you would have done that by practicing beforehand. On the day of the interview, make sure you log on a few minutes early. I would say about 5 minutes early, just in case there were some software updates overnight, or some last-minute technical glitches. You can troubleshoot those pretty quickly before you log on. So acing your virtual job interview is an advantage in today's market. It just is. And by remembering to be consistently professional in your appearance and your space, and preparing and testing your technology, and practicing with a test run either by yourself or with a friend, you can be confident about interviewing through video. I hope you found these tips helpful. And if you'd like some assistance in prepping for a virtual interview or a real interview or any other career coaching, please feel free to book an appointment using this QR code in the box. Thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Bill Robards, one of the great virtual career coaches we have with the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. So let's continue talking about acing your interview, and let's talk about body language. First impressions matter. From the time you arrive at an interview, assume you're being watched. Be kind and courteous to everyone you meet. You may not know who's in the interview room or who works for the company. Let's dress to impress. It is important to dress appropriate for the job you want. For example, if you're applying for a carpenter position, it's probably not necessary to wear a suit and tie, but business casual would be more acceptable. Avoid wearing new shoes that may hurt your feet because discomfort will be a distraction and certainly show. Firm handshake and eye contact. Shake hands with each member of the interview team before and after the interview. Maintaining good eye contact shows a sign of confidence. If you're at an interview with more than one interviewer, focus on the person asking the question. Then when you answer, look at each member. This will convey a sign of respect to the whole panel. Posture. The way we hold our bodies tells a lot of stories at an unconscious level. Is the person confident and engaged, or is the person shy and in retreat? Posture is the first clue that and impacts the way we are heard, regardless of how great our stories are. Slouching can translate as a lack of energy and confidence. So make sure you're sitting up straight and think of keeping your shoulders back rather than up. On the other end of the spectrum, being stiff can easily be associated with being nervous, which is something that recruiters and hiring managers expect. But being too stiff can make you appear uncomfortable or unfriendly. So try to prep and loosen up a little bit before the interview. Be mindful of your hands. It is perfectly fine to use your hands to communicate effectively and genuinely. Be mindful to not make your hands a distraction. When you're not speaking, place your hands in front of you and sit in a still position. Your hands will not draw unnecessary attention and your posture will be natural. Let's talk about leaving the interview. We are our own worst critics and may not feel great on how we just performed. Your exit is just as important as your entrance. A good firm handshake, a smile, and a thank you is key when leaving. Maintain your composure until you are alone. Virtual interview. A virtual interview can ease some anxiety because you're in your own environment. Do not get too comfortable. Treat it like you are in person. Adjust your chair and your camera so that the camera is just above your head. If it's not, subconsciously, the brain will say you're looking down on someone. Having your camera higher will also force good posture. Avoid home distractions like doorbells, dogs, or kids. Do not have a TV on in front of you either. These will all show in your body language. Maintain good eye contact with the interviewer. Nod and smile and show you are listening. Remember, your body language can speak louder than your words. So, if you like what I had to offer today, or if you think you learned anything at all, please book an appointment with one of our 5 great coaches and see what we can do for you.
Hi, my name is Vicki Casey. I am one of 5 virtual career coaches working with the Colorado Rural Workforce Consortium and the Department of Labor and Employment. Today I am here to discuss the different variations of interviews that employers use. Knowing the types of interviews will better help you prepare for what your interviewer might choose. The first one I'm going to discuss is a one-on-one. That's exactly as it sounds. It is a one-on-one opportunity for a personnel, hiring manager, or possibly your potential new supervisor to get to know you. They're going to ask common questions about your work experience and be prepared with 1 or 2 examples of what you did, how you did it, and what were the results. The second one is a panel interview. This is also as it sounds. It means there's going to be several people interviewing with you, depending upon the company size. Anywhere generally from 2 to 5 panelists will be involved. This may include a HR professional, your immediate supervisor, and possibly some team members. These are typically done when there is a targeted skill set they are looking for, and collaboration is key. The next one is a virtual or distance interview. These are becoming more and more popular due to the remote work opportunities. These are taking the place of in-person interviews, but hey, remember, regardless of whether it's an in-person interview or a remote interview, be prepared to bring your A game. Behavioral, or sometimes referred to as STAR interviews, are interviews that are asking about your direct experience with a situation. They generally start with questions like, tell me a time when you had to ... The STAR actually refers to situational, task, action, and results. This is also an excellent way to answer questions during an interview. So give us an example of when you did this. So quick and briefly, you might say something like this: as the sales manager, we had a decline in sales. I took up the task of determining how that happened and why it was happening. We created an action plan, which might have included some marketing, and then our results were an increase in sales, something along those lines. The next interview type is a group. And this is where a group of individuals applying for the same or similar positions get together in a room and are asked questions. The HR people or the interviewers are looking how you interact with the other candidates, not specifically how you answer the questions. So remember, your interpersonal skills in a group interview are going to be key. There's also a working interview. This is exactly as it sounds. You're going to go to the job site and show them how you can perform the job. They will be critiquing you and then determining if you have the skills they need to meet their requirements. The final one I'm going to discuss today is an informal interview, and that's as it sounds. It's usually used when you are looking to promote from within the company. Your hiring manager will take maybe you and some teammates out to lunch and talk about the expectations of the new role. There are millions and millions of interview questions out there online, and I would recommend paring down those questions to your targeted job description. So if they're looking for a hyper-competitive salesperson, guess what? You're going to search for interview questions for a hyper-competitive salesperson. As always, if you need more assistance, scan on our QR code and book a career appointment today with one of our virtual career coaches, or you can always go to the local workforce center and ask for some help on interviewing or anything you need to gain a job and keep your job. Have a great day and hope to talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Paula, one member of a great virtual career coaching team. I will be talking about exit interview questions. Should you ask them? Most definitely. By asking questions, it will show the interviewer that you are serious about wanting the position that you are interviewing for. You can ask them questions like, the research I have done on your company shows this. What do you see my role being when I'm hired for this position? Depending upon their answers, it can also give you an idea of how well you did in the interview.
If you have any more questions or need some more career coaching, please either click on this QR code and enter a book me session with one of our virtual career coaches, email us, or you can always go to one of your local workforce centers and ask them about some assistance with interviewing. You all have a great day, good night, wherever you are, and we look forward to serving you in the future. Thank you.